Hello and welcome to Real Life TV Now and GFN Soul NYC FM. I'm Robert Ashley, and we thank you once again for being with us right here on the Robert Ashley Show. Now, what we do here, news and commentary, and we thank many of you. Our audience is growing right here at GFN Soul NYC FM and Real Life TV Now, and we thank you so very much. Now, also share our content, like our content, and hit that notification bell so you will know when we're dropping another report. Now, also, we've got a great radio component here at GFN Soul NYC FM and Real Life TV Now. We've got the Quiet Storm Station, and each and every night, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, you can hear the best in throwback music from our colleague Wayne G, who's all the way from the Sugar Hill neighborhood right there in New York in the Harlem area, as we're shouting out to a lot of our friends there in Boogie Down Bronx, all over Harlem, if you will, the five boroughs of New York. We're bringing the East Coast, the South Coast, the West Coast. We're bringing all of America together on one accord. And once again, we thank you for being with us. Now, what we do here, once again, news and commentary. And today, we are concerned about all of the rebellion, the riots, the protest demonstrations that we're seeing on the West Coast involving ICE, who going around arresting people because they're in the country illegally. Now, this is a very, very serious situation, and it all depends upon if you're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. Our Congress, our presidents, the administrations that we've had here in the United States have had different perspectives on this whole immigration thing. Now, recently, the Biden administration just literally opened up the borders under Mayorkas, who, of course, was a Homeland Security Secretary, and of course Kamala Harris, our Vice President, who supposedly was supposed to be the border czar. But to just open the border up and just allow any and everybody into the country, what was the reason for that? Now, some were saying that because we're getting ready to have redistricting, reapportionment every 10 years, we redraw the congressional lines to see who's going to represent this area, who's going to represent that area. And there's been the allegation that Democrats just basically opened the border and allowed anybody to come in because they were trying to swell the numbers so that perhaps once the lines are drawn, there could be more seats for the Democrats. Now, the Republicans have been accused of doing the same thing. But the Republicans never really just opened up the border. Now, I do recall when Ronald Reagan was president of the United States, some say he signed the big amnesty bill that allowed people to come in and stay in. So it seems like on both sides of this situation, the whole immigration issue just completely out of hand. Now, here in the United States of America, the numbers are very, very important in terms of political power, where the money would go. So we're going to continue to watch the situation there on the West Coast. And of course, right here in Dallas, Texas, we've had protest demonstrations as well. Now, from what we understand, there is an organization, there is a movement. It's called the No Kings movement, meaning here in the country, President Trump is not a king. Now, of course, Mr. Trump, a big-time billionaire, some say he's running the country as a mob boss because of the connections there in New York, the mob and building buildings. And of course, you've got to be connected with somebody in New York if you're going to be building buildings and all that kind of thing. And that No Kings movement is aimed at President Trump. So therefore, we understand that there will indeed be rallies all across the country. Now, by the time this particular broadcast airs on June 14th, we understand that there will possibly be about 1,800 No Kings rallies here in the country. So what are these rallies saying? Are they saying that we don't want a king, we don't want President Trump to be the president of the United States? But either way it goes, President Trump has enacted the National Guard, we understand, and also the Marines at Camp Pendleton have also been placed upon alert. Now, when you see the National Guard, you see the Marines coming in, they're not necessarily here for crowd control. These are combat units. If you recall, Kent State, Southern University, back in the 60s and 70s, when we saw a lot of rebellion and riots on our college campuses. And then all of a sudden now, the National Guard will start shooting and killing college students, be they black, white, or whatever color they are. This was a nation that made a statement that you don't go up against the United States of America. So now, as we look at the situation on the West Coast, Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, and of course Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, both may have political aspirations. Now, of course, Karen Bass has reportedly been associated with known communists and socialist things of that sort. And here in America, in New York City, you've got a socialist who's running for mayor of New York. Now, socialism is not quite compatible with a democratic republic, but of course, in a democratic republic like America, it seems like we allow any and everything to come into this country. So could it be a battle between philosophies or ideologies? And the big question is, if indeed there is a civil war in the United States, whose side will you be on? Or will you just stay in your home as the two sides battle it out? Is there a possibility that President Trump could enact what they call the Insurrection Act? Now, if the Insurrection Act is indeed enacted, that means the people in California will basically be under some form of martial law. Now, President Barack Obama, his wife Michelle Obama, recently released some documentaries, Leave the World Behind, and also there was another documentary that was released, another film earlier in the summer. It was called Civil War. So it makes you wonder, is the deep state, those who are not in power now, are they trying to possibly mastermind some sort of a civil war or major civil disobedience within the United States of America? Now, if indeed we begin to have President Trump declare an insurrection there in California, and then a broader picture of martial law, because we'll be seeing these 1800s No King rallies all across the country, what will happen in America if martial law is declared, or if the Insurrection Act is indeed declared? Now, we also understand that California, it's been said that California may have the most illegal immigrants in the country. I've heard numbers of at least 100,000 illegal immigrants could be in California, where, of course, in California, the laws are very lax, if you will. Governor Gavin Newsom said, Mr. Trump or Tom Homan, the borders are, come and arrest me. Tough guys. He called them all tough guys. Gavin Newsom said he was only concerned about the people of California just trying to live their lives, whether they're in the country legally or illegally. And see, that's the big concern. Under President Trump, the American people elected him, had Kamala Harris, who was indeed the Attorney General there in California. Had she been elected, then maybe the policies of the Biden administration, open border and just bringing in each and everybody, maybe those policies would have continued. But now that President Trump is the man in the White House, the big question is, how long will this go on? What is the real reason behind the No Kings movement, the 1,800 rallies that we'll be seeing around the country? Now, also, there's been confrontation between some of the demonstrators and the United States military, and of course local law enforcement officials. Now, we've also seen police officers trapped underneath bridges there in California and being pelted with all sorts of rocks and small ammunition, possibly fireworks to some extent. We have seen the confrontations between police, the authorities, and the protest demonstrators. Now, will we see that all around the country? And that's going to be the real big question. Now, those who've been let into America, are they armed? Are they in a position to fight back against the United States military, the National Guard, local law enforcement officials? Are we seeing possibly the internal overthrow of the United States government? These are very, very serious times that we're living in now. And once again, we just continue to encourage you to be prayerful about it. And you and your family will sooner or later have to begin to make plans. If indeed President Trump declares martial law or the Insurrection Act, what does that mean? Does that mean you'll have to stay in your house for the next three months? or you'll have to stay in your house for the next 6 months. What does it mean? We've never crossed that bridge before here in the United States. Well, once again, you're watching Real Life TV Now and GFN Soul NYC FM. I'm Robert Ashley, and you're watching the Robert Ashley Report, where we do news and commentary. And coming up in just a minute or two, we're going to have a special report on all that's been going on with regards to ICE trying to enforce the law in the United States. So it's a real big challenge. But the question is, where will you be if the shooting and the rebellions continue and if they get started?
Holy cow, they're throwing bricks at the police.
This is our city, and this was Mexico. You can't kick us out of the land that was ours.
LA has erupted over the past few days as ICE officials came in and carried out a few raids. The past few days have been wild here on the streets of LA. Cars have been burnt, intersections have been taken over. Local and state officials are not happy with what's going on with the federal government. The footage you're about to see is absolutely insane. The police are coming through right now. Speak no more and get into the video. Everyone's out here protesting right now. ICE came through here down in LA. The streets are erupting here. Let's see what's going on. The National Guard has been deployed out here into the streets of LA. Thousands of protesters are here on the streets right now. Right here on this federal building, you have words like F ICE, revolution starting here, here for my family, all sorts of stuff. Right here you have the National Guard. They've come through. You have troops, about 300 in different directions. Trump sent in about 2,000 people. There's groups of 300 sent around the city right here. And this one is at the side of the federal building here at one of the ICE detention centers here in LA. What's your message to the National Guard here today?
The National Guard.
And why do you think they got sent out here today?
They got sent because we don't have a president that can lead.
And what fears you most about Donald Trump and the ICE raids coming through here in Los Angeles?
I don't fear that motherfucker. Have you seen our community? I don't feel that motherfucker.
There ain't none of fear Donald Trump. Homeboy on a motherfucking real that piece of shit.
What's the water for?
Diffuse tear gas.
Diffuse
if needed.
tear gas.
Yeah. If you throw a canister in one of these, it should diffuse it enough, or at least stop the chemical reaction.
And what makes you want to come out here with the Honduras flag out here?
I mean, these are my roots right here, you know? This is where my family came from. I'm a first gen.
A lot of people wonder on social media, why are people coming out here with other nationalities' flags? If they don't like America, why don't they go back to
I love America and what it represents. You know, the idea of America to our people is a better future and an opportunity to have a job and create something that in our homes we don't have. You know, so we love America. We want to be here. We want to contribute, you know, and I agree. The people that have committed crimes and, you know, like an actual crime of, you know, murder, something like that, I can agree with that. You know, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, no, keep everybody here. Yeah. But the people who are here, hardworking people.
Right now, do you think it's right for them to go after the most dangerous people like they say they're doing?
I mean, I don't see nobody here has attacked them. And they initiated all of this. We're peacefully protesting. They're the ones that come out with riot shields. They come out with billy clubs and all kinds of shit. I don't know who's the aggressor here, but it ain't us.
You! I can't wait to know you! Take off your badge, big boy! Take off your badge! Coward! Get that shit in my fucking face!
Okay. That guy's yelling at the ICE officials for being a coward for wearing a mask. Meanwhile, he also has a mask on. What's your message to the police officers in the National Guard right now?
They've got a choice. They don't have to do this fucking shit. That's it. They can either be American citizens or they can be what they're doing right now.
You don't think they're acting like as American citizens?
No.
Do you think they're trying to protect the country or make it a more dangerous place?
What do you mean? Like, this is way beyond what it needs to be.
Something's about to break out real soon. If these people keep taunting the police officers with all these other flags, all these other words they're saying to these police officers and National Guard, something's about to happen.
You guys suck! Christy Lewis! You guys suck! Donald Trump! Fuck you!
I can tell you're very upset.
Of course we are. Yeah. We feel some burning in the eyes right now upon arrival here. Everybody be prepared. We still fight for the legalization of all in occupied territories. This was indigenous land. This was Mexico. This is our fucking turf.
And we welcome you back to Real Life TV Now and, of course, GFN Soul NYC FM. I'm Robert Ashley. We thank you once again for being with us right here on the Robert Ashley Report, where we do news and commentary. Well, the situation that we're facing in this country, long as President Trump will be in office, there probably will be some dissension. And if indeed this is a planned situation, according to an article within the New York Times, there was a question that was asked: what would the Democrats do if they lost the 2024 elections and if President Trump is in office? Now, according to this New York Times article, and you can look it up, what would the Democrats do? Many say that we're seeing what they would do. They would cause an internal insurrection in 1,800 rallies all across the United States. Here in Dallas, Texas, we've seen confrontations. We understand down in Austin, Texas, there's going to be a big rally. Now, what if all of a sudden we see confrontations with police, law enforcement officials, and our military in places like Detroit? Let's say New York City, where we've seen some limited protests and demonstrations, things of that sort. Denver, Colorado, all these are considered to be blue cities and blue states. And what if the blue cities and the blue states and their governors decide, well, look, we might just need to secede from the United States of America? Now, believe it or not, that would fraction the Union here in America. We're supposed to be the United States of America. But if we begin to disband and the foundation of this nation begins to crack, we could see all-out civil war, and what would happen then? Now, also, we saw Congresswoman Maxine Waters, a very senior citizen. I think she's 86 years old, still representing portions of South Central Los Angeles, places like that, Compton, California. We saw the officials at federal facilities slam the door in her face. She said she wanted to go and check on a labor leader who had been arrested for reportedly pushing someone from ICE. So that kind of confrontation, and to see a senior member of Congress having the door slammed in their face, that angered a lot of people. Now, on behalf of the government officials with the Department of Homeland Security and ICE, they said, well, check in with our public Affairs Division. Now, as a newsman, if we wanted to get comments from anybody, we would typically have to go through the Public Affairs Division. Can I speak with somebody who's a spokesperson for ICE or for the Department of Homeland Security? And they're telling a congresswoman to do the same. Now, typically, members of Congress may have what they call limited congressional authority to go into a federal facility that they have to vote on in terms of all the funding and things of that sort. Now, whether or not that was aimed at Congresswoman Maxine Waters, or whether or not there was a much bigger picture, we just don't know. But that seemingly may or may not help the situation. And also, Governor Gavin Newsom was pretty upset, telling Tom Homan to come arrest me, if you will, call him a tough guy. So that kind of confrontational tone set by the elected officials in California, is that egging on? Is that pouring fuel on the fires here? And then with all of the people who've come in, Homeland Security said they're trying to arrest murderers, rapists, criminals who have violated the law and who were able to just walk into the country when President Biden and Alexandria Mayorkas, the so-called Homeland Security former director, just had the border completely open. And now, according to the reports, the border has been sealed. Why couldn't the Democrats do that? Are the Democrats part of a bigger picture here? The overthrow of the United States of America, as the New World Order says, well, look, we've got one more nation to conquer before we can have a global government. We've got to force the United States of America to surrender. We've got to allow China to economically undercut the U.S. dollar, if you will. Now, in light of all the internal struggles that are going on right now, I think a couple of broadcasts previously, we said that if there was an internal struggle that started within the United States, now what if China and what if Russia or even Iran or the folks in the Middle East, if they say, okay, let's go ahead and hit America simultaneously, would we be able to stop intercontinental ballistic missiles from coming into the country? President Trump recently talked about coming up with a shield or a dome that would protect America from being hit by bombs and things of that sort. We just don't know. So for those of you who believe in God, those of you who believe in the divine anointing, Maybe the book of Revelation is about to get ready to come true. Wars and rumors of wars. They say the world would not be destroyed by water, but by fire this time. And Russia, they've got more nuclear weapons than anybody. We're negotiating with China, trying to come up with some sort of a trade agreement. So as we're looking at all the things that are going on right now within our country, and for those of you who pray, let's go ahead and pray. Let's hope and pray that we don't have America under attack. We pray that we don't have the Constitution suspended and there will be martial law, because there are some who are just not prepared for that. And then all of a sudden, what if the banks close? You can't go to the bank. You can't get any gasoline. The dollar collapses. What would happen then? So as we're getting ready to face whatever may come down the pipe, we just encourage our listeners and those of you who are there, if you can get a prayer through, get a prayer through. Ask God for divine intervention so that we will not wind up destroying ourselves. Well, once again, you've been watching the Robert Ashley Report right here on GFN Soul NYC FM and Real Life TV Now. Now, be sure to subscribe to our channel, like our content. You can even share our content. And also, if you have something you'd like to say, want to be a part of the program, we would love to work with you right here on GFN Soul NYC FM and Real Life TV Now. And don't forget, each and every night, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, we've got the best in throwback music, and it's called the Quiet Storm Station, hosted by our colleague Wayne G, as we're shouting out to all of our friends on the East Coast, there in Harlem, the Sugar Hill neighborhood, the Boogie Down Bronx, and all over the 5 boroughs of New York to right here in Dallas, Texas. On behalf of GFN Soul NYC FM and Real Life TV Now, I'm Robert Ashley.